Hi and welcome along to AFTV. We're back for another video with my favourite doctor, Dr. Andre from Oxford Natural. And we've got good news on this video. Good news. Just before we get into it, everyone keeps asking me about the Optimum Day, the Optimum Night.
Oh yeah.
Tell everybody again how these wonderful natural supplements can really help you with your weight loss, like what they've done with me.
Yeah, well, I designed this to help people become their best selves. It's not easy to do that, but I wanted to find something we could use that was natural, that would affect mood, appetite, sleep, energy, focus. In time, months go by, you suddenly find yourself sleeping better, you're getting a bit thinner, a bit more muscled. All these things are crucial. And so we designed the Optimum Day and Night. Sleeping well, eating well, exercising, it helps all those things. It's there in your pocket, helping you to the day, being your best self. But again, patience is key. These things take time. As the months go by, you get better, fitter. That's how it was designed.
And it works because that's what I've been taking, and it's helped me in my weight loss journey. And like you said, it's a journey. It's not an overnight thing, but honestly, they're fantastic, right? I vouch for it, right? So big up to Dr. Andre, but I'm here to talk to you about something more important as if you're an Arsenal fan, right? Well, actually, your health is the most important thing. I can't lie. But this is getting close to it, right? Which is Bukayo Saka. We got big news on it that Bukayo Saka could be back for the game against Fulham, right? Now, that is amazing news. I remember when we spoke to you originally, right at the start of when Bukayo Saka picked up this injury to his hamstring, which he had to have surgery on. You said right there and then, 4 to 6 months is what this injury would take. I remember I read in some papers, they were saying, oh, we could be back in February, early March, stuff like that. And I did another video of you and you're like, no, if he's had surgery, 4 to 6 months. You were adamant on it, and you're right, right? Because if he's back for that Fulham game, that is 4 months, just over the 4 months. So he looks like he's ahead of schedule. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, right, like we've been doing a lot of videos on it, and I think every Arsenal fan would love to see him fit, rearing to go and healthy for the game against Real Madrid, which takes place on the 8th of April, right? So the Fulham game, which is the 2nd of April, I think it's on. I hope I'm right, but it's next week, Tuesday. Then there's the Everton game on the 5th of April, which could be 2 games in which he could kind of come back in. But what I wanted to find out from you is, what is the process when you're coming back? Would those 2 games be able to ease him back for him to be then maybe possibly being able to start or play a big part in that game on the 8th of April, which is the real big one, which is the one that we like to see him back for? And what's the process? When you've come back from such a bad injury, because you've had surgery, what is the process of coming back? What do you look for to see if that player is going to be ready to actually start a big game? Because, you know, you've been a doctor to footballers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point now, it does look very, very promising that he's involved in that Real game, I would say. If they think he can play a week or so before then they must know certain things. They must know that his strength has come back to normal. Okay? They must know that the balance of his strength, as in quadricep to hamstring, is now properly ratioed again. They must know that he has proper movement, proper range, explosive speed, and that he can run around and be fit and run around for a long time too. So they're clearly...
where would they have known that from? Is that just from, because we've seen some photos of him running on grass, but they haven't revealed a lot.
Yeah. No, you would, obviously you get your range back, then you start to move, get your strength back, and then it's the functional aspect of football. It's a complex thing. We're not really designed to play football. Okay, the body is not designed for it. So all that muscle memory has to return. So you start by doing things in a straight line, then you start doing things side to side, then you start doing things over prolonged periods and more extended, and then there's the explosion of movement that you do, then against resistance. So you're building all the time, all happening in the the training area. Undercover, they don't tend to advertise these things particularly. Then you start to take part in actual ball. You bring the ball in. This is the key, when the ball's there, because that's all the balance, all the thought. It's hard to recreate balancing on one leg and passing the ball to somebody just by doing it statically in a gym. With the ball, it's different. It's pressuring you, nudge to get the kids in from the academy to run around. When you run around with the kids, you're normally okay. And then it's structured games, short games, longer games, 3-side, 5-a-side, building it all the time to make sure that all those angles, those changes in speed, they're all logged into his muscles before they're asked to do the big thing, which is game day.
Yep. And what would be the process if indeed he is fit for, say, to start, well, not start, but play a part in the Fulham and Everton games? What would you think would be the process in the mind of, say, I'm not even on about the manager here, the doctors? What are they looking for to see if he's getting back to full fitness? And how are they managing the fact that if you rush him, it could be back to square one?
He's such a valuable asset to the club. You can see how it's a kid glove approach of graduated exposure. So even though intrinsically someone needs to be fit for the game of football, 0 to 90 minutes, really you need to be fit for that, and he probably would be. But I think the safest approach, and bearing in mind that injuries tend to occur when we're getting more tired, we're likely to see him in shorter bursts. So that's why he might come on as a sub, and mentally it's a bit easier, because you said to me before, how would he feel about that part of his body? Is he going to feel as confident in it as he did before? On a human level, there's no way you can be as confident until it's been through the exact same situation, stress, pressure. So rather than him having to face 90 minutes of that, let's mentally give him a shorter amount of time so he can focus. He knows the end is not too far away, and therefore some internal tension, anxiety that might make you more prone to re-injury is reduced. I'd say physically he'd be fine to play the whole game, but I think from a sensible point of view and care for him, you bring him back as you would any employee coming back after a long time with injury, light duty, reduced hours, the same thing here, I think. So I could see, coming on after an hour for the first game, maybe starting the second game, but off half-time or so to give a bit longer. So he started a game, come on as a sub in a game, and then I guess the big game where you need him absolutely to be perfect, then you could play him from the beginning.
Yeah. Do you think, given the nature of the injury, right, and the fact that he's had surgery, do you think it's realistic that he could play that Real Madrid game on the 8th of April?
Yeah.
With 2 warm-up games? Realistically, could he start that game?
Yeah, I think this is one of the things about surgery is they will have replaced what was damaged and knitted healthy to healthy. Okay, an injury is slightly different without surgery. It is now an unhealthy tissue and an unhealthy tissue bonded together with something new. So sometimes the surgery is beneficial. It's a complex area, probably a complex zone of the hamstring injured, and they've sewn good onto good. And when that heals, you've got something which is super strong. And that's what we expect to see from him, is him back to what he was before, because we're not dealing with some damaged tissue, just semi-repaired, out you go. We've got a new system, a new basis of clean on clean. So I think it's completely possible that he returns for those games.
What about mental? Would football clubs have somebody sort of working alongside him on the mental side of things? Because he's been out for a long time. Like you said, he's going to be worried, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like there's going to be that anxiety within him that, what if I break down? What if I do this again? What if some other injury comes along?
Yeah.
How would he deal with this mentally?
I think really that's always available. So psychological assistance is always available in the club. They don't get too much in your face, because you do ask any player, do you get nervous before a game? They'll all say yes. And do you want to reduce anxiety before a game? Well, not really. It's part of performing, is to have adrenaline and to be a bit on the edge. Often other players are better than a psychologist for this, because they've been through it. Okay, they've been through the injury, maybe the same injury, and they're older, more experienced. They may be better people to talk to If it's getting out of hand and he's phobic of running, that would have been noticed early on, and they can bring someone in to help. I think at this stage now, it's probably more mates, friends, people who've been through those things. There'll be a better guide to getting back into playing.
Yeah. Yeah, the final thing I want to ask is, like, how is it that, like, a lot of times you see a player come back from a long injury for one thing, but then something else happens? It seems to happen a lot. Like, so a player's been out, say, for instance, with calf injury, but then all of a sudden he feels his groin giving him problems after a couple of games, or the other way around, a groin, and then now he's feeling his hamstring a bit. Why is that? Why is it sometimes that other things start to prop up when you've come off the back of a long injury, long layoff?
Yeah.
You're thinking, all right, everything should be refreshed, but then something else just props up. It seems to happen a lot. Is there a reason for that, or is it just bad luck?
It can be bad luck. You've been deconditioned for a while, so you've been out of action for a while, and those areas have not been stressed the way they would normally be day to day. So it can just be chance that it happens, and you've been out for a while and you come back and you've not reconditioned. You've reconditioned this thing so much you've almost forgotten about the other side, and therefore that's not quite ready for it. You may have been carrying other injuries, niggling things that were just put to bed for a while. Then you return to new power, new strength, and they give because they were maybe on the way anyway. So it's not easy to say exactly why that happens, but it can just the deconditioning of having not played for so long lets other little injuries not be attended to, or suddenly be exposed when you put yourself through maximal pressure.
All right. So, final. This is my final thing, right? So, as a doctor, can you see again the possibility that Saka could be back for that game against, if all the reports are true and he plays that Fulham game, that he could be back fully for Real Madrid?
I think if they've mooted, as you said, a return for their Fulham game, if he's that close to being considered, he might make that game. I think you're going to see him on the pitch, I reckon. You're going to see him on the pitch for that Real game. That's my expectation.
Please! We need you, Saka, right? Well, listen, that's some good news, because, he's such a good player. He's our best player. And if we can get him back on the pitch for that Real Madrid game, that starts to raise our chances of winning that game. So let's hope it comes true. We'll all be keeping an eye on that Fulham game and on that Everton game to see if he plays any part. It's going to be really, really interesting, but just good news that he's back, looking like he's back to full health. And let's hope, he can make a speedy recovery on the pitch and be back to the Saka we know. Dr. Andre, thank you very much for today. And also, don't forget the supplements. If you're interested in those, click the link in the description. We're going to sort out a discount as well. But it's great stuff. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.